All right, cool. What are you doing this time?
Well, Gary, we're at the government impound lot.
Oh, hey, big deals from the government.
Yeah, but not for cars.
I just kissed Matt Lesko behind a shipping container.
Yeah. I mean, purely platonic. More of like a...
just to get big discounts.
Of course.
You get free kisses from the government. Did you know the government is holding tens of thousands of kisses?
Did you know that
Buy my book.
The IRS is contractually obligated to send somebody to snuggle you?
Yeah. Get free snuggles from the government. At least they looked like Matt Lesko.
Just because you're with... Sorry, like you can mistake anybody else for Matt Lesko.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty common look around
Portland.
Weird Portland.
Yeah. For people who are unaware, Matt Lesko is the guy who dresses like the Riddler and talks about how you can get money. You got money coming to you from the government. Yes.
Which you can look up. There's a website and you can be like, hey, does the government owe me any back taxes from states I used to live in? Like,
it's honestly not as shady as it seems. It's mostly like grants and shit. Like you can
shady to sell a book.
Yes.
I guess about it. I mean, it's a thing that is just online.
Yeah.
But yeah. Awful kisser. Half the time.
A lot of teeth. A lot of teeth.
A lot of teeth in that kiss.
Yeah.
He's old now too.
Extremely old. He was old then.
Smells like balm. Yeah.
It's not the car impound lot or the drug boat impound lot. We're at the energy drink impound lot.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
All right. I bet you they've got all kinds of like Rooster Booster, all those weird old energy drinks.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about this because there's who's that influencer who's got it's an energy drink that has 6 times the amount of caffeine in one can as a can of Coca-Cola.
I don't know who that is.
It's like Ninja or PewDiePie or something like that.
Sure.
All of those are influencers only old people know. Maybe it's Mr. Beast. I got no idea, but it's somebody selling that. So I was like, what other illegal energy drinks are there? So I thought I'd come down here to the auction. Mostly it's a bunch of researchers trying to get a hold of some of these cans. But I figured we would see what we get if we
Should we also be wearing hazmat suits like the researchers are?
No.
I am getting taurine lung.
Don't worry about the gloves that I'm wearing.
All right.
So I'm just going to bid on the. Oh, we want it. Yep. Not a lot of demand. Not a lot of demand for these.
This is one of the least populous government auctions. Like,
not a lot of people know about it.
Yeah. We should write a book.
To make big swings.
I got a suit that has semicolons all over it.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's unbox this bad boy and see. It's called the Shadow Blaster.
Oh, it's that kind of thing that it blasts your shadow. I remember that.
And it's black licorice flavored. Yeah.
Good thing we brought the game computer that we have implanted into our bodies now.
Yes, it is. I replaced my eye with it like it's a link up from Shadowrun. Yeah.
I have a subcutaneous mesh of it.
Yeah. No, and the game computer is saying Shadow Blasters is a Sega Genesis game.
Nope.
Meh.
I'm Gary Butterfield.
I'm Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Abject Suffering, where I don't have any more... Crack them open, boys. I don't have any more randomizations because I left Twitter. And I don't know that I can get the 60 people who follow me on Blue Sky to give me randomizations. And Blue Sky apparently is bad today.
What?
So, yeah, people are mad. I'm not trying to minimize it. I just don't know what they're mad about. So that's not me minimizing it. It's just I don't flashback 10 years where I had the idea for Rager, which was just a website where they would tell you why everyone was mad. When things on social media where people just talk around.
Oh yeah. You gotta go in and do a fucking I
don't know how to find it. I'm sure it's real.
Sleuth. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure it's real. It's something to do with people of color and Black representation. I'm not minimizing that. We have a jokey tone on the show. I'm just saying I can't figure out what they did wrong.
Right. And in the absence of knowing what this particular discourse is, we're defaulting to discourse.
Yes. So I more information it'll eventually trickle down to the people I follow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't have randomizations. I need to figure out a new path for that. Like I was thinking about Slack, but Slack eats them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, might try a Patreon thread.
Thread or
like, can you set up a little? Can you set up a thingy where people get like a contact form? It'll spit into a Google Doc for us.
You can do you can make a Google form for it.
Okay, nice. Well, yeah, maybe I'll do that.
Yeah.
So anywho,
maybe I'll do that.
Well, I could do it too. I didn't mean to give you a job. I
got to do one for the outros too. So
yeah,
we can.
Yeah, ding 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 ding. So improvising intros for a little bit.
Yeah. This week this is a public episode that is a patron demand from Bryn of the Bonfireside Chat alum from the Elden Ring season, and also of the band Stay Inside.
And the Generation Lost podcast, which I recommend listening to the episode I did on I Heart Huckabees. Which was very fun, and also I like that movie.
So Bryn from About Town suggested this. Unfortunately, we were not able to go with her first demand, which looked really good. It was like the riddles of Horatio Huffnagel or something like that. But it was like I can actually look up what it really was. But it was like a Windows 95 thing that just I could not get to work. Yeah. So sorry. Yeah, it was like a LucasArts educational game. So we had to go with the second one. Sometimes that happens. But Bryn says, my aunt bought me this in 1991. Surely it was very cheap. I believe it was the first game that I got for the Sega Genesis besides the Sonic 1 cart that came bundled with it. I remember it being very difficult, but I really liked that you could be 4 different characters. I recall the sounds being very funny and the monsters being nightmarish, in that it was difficult to discern what the artist was even attempting to draw.
Yeah, do not look like shapes. The way you might want.
Yeah, but not in the cool way of things not looking like shapes. Such as like what was that, Luca or whatever? Like that was cool and stylish. Yeah. No, this is not artful in any way.
No. Developed by Sigma Protech.
And like published
also an energy drink.
And published by I don't have this up.
Published by Sigma Enterprises and Sage's Creation.
Yeah, Sage's Creation. There we go. I was gonna say Sage's Secrets, but that's a game hint book thing.
That's a different intolerable store that just sells incense and tarot cards. The Sega Genesis was low key, like the premier system for shit like this.
Yes.
Like you ever play like Gem Master?
No.
These incredibly stiff, undesigned kind of platformers, like kind of run and gun games. Yeah. There were so many of these fucking things. Like it's just, and just like they're not particularly good. They're not particularly bad. They're just kind of like, what if Castlevania with none of the excellent things about Castlevania?
What about Castlevania with no intentionality?
Yeah, like what about accidental Castlevania? And the Genesis loved it. There's so many of these fucking things.
It's the if you go back and play like a random Sega Master System game, a lot of them are like this too.
Yes.
And the fact that this is so early in the Sega Genesis life cycle really makes me feel like that is something here. This feels like an NES game. Like this doesn't feel too like distinct from something like a Shadow Master or a Kickmaster or Master Who and Junker Chew or whatever. Just like what if there was a man? Sometimes there's a man, and sometimes he walks right, and sometimes he has a shot and can also charge and do another thing.
Yeah. It's full of these things. There were some of these on Super Nintendo too. I'm not trying to make it entirely partisan.
No,
this
but
is
I definitely
Excalibur 2097. school of game design.
I associate it. I associate it with Sega Genesis. And this is like, don't get this confused with the very similar games that are like this, but are like Amiga ports of Psygnosis published games.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's got big Psygnosis stink, but without the graphical polish
right
to it. I also was very frustrated because I was trying to find just a list of these kind of games.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go on GameFAQs, the games you may also like are Sonic 1 through 3, Sonic and Knuckles, and Echo the Dolphin. Did they just have that for every Genesis game? Did they give up?
Maybe. They just unplugged the algorithm and nobody's complained yet.
Yeah, they're just like, I don't know. You might like the most popular games on the Genesis.
Yeah, and this is just a real meh game to me. Like, you're in a zone. You pick one of 6 different levels. You have 4 different characters, and like the thing that really differentiates them, aside from like how durable they are, is like the way their projectiles behave. So like maybe this one gradually trends upward, and maybe this one gradually falls downward, like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how one of them is a gross bald guy who his forehead wrinkles look like he's got like a massive goiter like in the middle of his head. And I think this guy is Marco, who in his own words is better at fighting evil than reciting sutras.
Yes.
Because this is a Buddhism running gun.
Yeah. Like everything has been localized here. You've got Horatio, Tiffany, Marco, and Leo. But being developed in Japan, like these are medieval / ancient Japanese. You got like a ninja warrior, like a fencer, kind of guy.
Yeah.
And you're like doing missions against Asura and what have you.
Yes.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing about this, I didn't get this far. This is the kind of game I don't feel very much about because I don't have to beat it.
Yeah.
If I had to actually beat this or like get good at it, it would be difficult.
Yes.
And I would probably be pretty frustrated by it. Did you watch a Let's Play of this enough to get to the end boss?
No.
The end boss is really weird. It turns into, do you remember those absolutely dog shit Ultraman fighting games on the Super Nintendo?
We did one on Exquisite Suffering several years ago.
Yeah, it was like I think my question stands. Like it's been long enough since we've done it. I didn't know if you remembered. It turns into like
I remember everything we've done.
Jesus Christ, better you than me. I do not. But it turns into one of those fighting games. It looks almost indistinguishable from like one of those shitty Ultraman fighting games out of nowhere. Like it just switches engines to this thing.
Weird. I'm loading up the World of Long Plays Let's Play to see that.
Yeah, World of Long Plays.
Yeah, I played the first level, like the meadow or whatever it is. No, mountain. Yeah. There we are.
Yes,
and fought like
Don't
this.
Get it twisted.
Yes, fought the skull ghost, and I felt that satisfied. Wow! You're fighting Asura in space, and the sprites are entirely different.
And they're like the size of the screen. It's got that super sprite, Psygnosis shit. To it.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah, very weird. I got no problem with 4 Buddhist warriors going to the right and killing stuff as a game of this vintage. It just, I don't, and I'm not saying this to Bryn, but I don't, the same thing we said during Jack, like my nostalgia isn't your nostalgia for a thing. Like if this was Excalibur 2097, I might have a little sicko pleasure for it, but I never heard of this.
No, neither have I. Yeah. Yeah, which is also a Sega Genesis thing. Like I was a Sega Genesis kid, but like mostly played the hits with the occasional Pugsy thrown in there.
It wasn't Gem Master; it's Jewel Master.
Jewel Master.
Jewel Master, Sky Blazer, Shadow Dancer. These are all pretty similar to these things.
Yeah.
This has a very funny game fact by Diametric Houston.
Just the opposite of Houston, just on the other side of America. Yes, Seattle.
Yes. Cert Timid is the username, but the author says Diametric Houston. And the gold is always in the beginning and the ending. Introduction, it talks about how he covers old school platform games. He says, I'm not going to try to bother with copyright stuff. If you are low enough to try to bank a profit off this, or if you decide to plagiarize it, that's on your wretched morality. Which made me think of the, like, whenever you get into beef on Twitter, someone starts talking like Sephiroth.
Yep.
And then the end of it, in the credits, he thanks God for the strength, life, and intellect to do this fac. That makes me laugh.
That is very funny. Intellect is
well, I just like you can't thank God for helping you make a game fac.
No.
Like if you, I don't I don't believe in God. If I did though, I would like to think that any God I thought was worth believing in would have better things to do than help you make a game fac for Shadow Blasters. Can you imagine? Like, is this the Seinfeld plot where like there's an accident and God has to be your butler? Or something? Why is he helping you make a Shadow Blasters fac, man?
I don't know. He's omnipotent. It's the acronym that I learned in my religious studies class was OOMP: omnipotent, omnipotent, omniscient, and then I forget what the M and P are. So, Good job, Professor.
Yeah, mighty powerful. Is that why the Oompa Loompas are called that?
Precisely. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I was thinking about the idea of God helping you make a game fac.
We see that. We see, thanks God for blah, blah, blah. I've never like seen somebody say like, thank you for rolling the dice real good when you made my character sheet. So I could accomplish this feat, and never written a fac. But I don't know that it's that dissimilar to like, what I do, playing a whole game and making a bullet pointed list and figuring out how to communicate about it. In our case, talking about it. But that's not a feat of intellect. That's a feat of patience.
Well, yeah, it's also a thing. Like we think we're big thinkers, but we think that people directly responsible, for things like the idea. Like when I do something, the idea of it being this piddly, and then thinking a higher power is just like really tickles me.
Yeah. I'm much more amenable to that one guy who thanked Jose Olay, the frozen Mexican food company, for making the taquitos that fueled him.
Or the guy who keeps begging for a case of Pepsi through the tip system, or like you beg or you thank your partner for hanging out with you while you played the game and stuff.
Yeah.
All that makes sense to me.
You know what? Thank somebody who doesn't get thanked all the time. Everybody's thanking God.
This isn't just, Gary atheism bullshit. Like I'm just saying this is about the piddliest thing I've ever seen God thanked for. Like I just it's real down low on his priorities. And this was in 2001 on September 4th. So God had a lot going on during that week.
God was trying like hell to stop that from happening.
Hold up. Is that, do you think that God didn't stop that from happening because God was helping Dimetric Houston make this fac?
You're putting a lot of moral responsibility on Sir Temid.
No, I mean, I just imagine God like the Mancier sketch from Tim and Eric, like answering all these phones, and he's like trying to give the intelligence about 9/11, trying to get into Bush's hands, and he can't. He's just like, he's not taking it, but he just, and he gets his phone call, and
this
it's
guy
like,
keeps
Dear Lord,
thanking me. Yeah.
Please help me make a Shadow Blasters fac. I love making facs for side scrolling action games.
He really does, by the way, if you look at his contributions. Oh, yeah.
Do they each line up with a major disaster that God could have prevented?
Wow. It's kind of eerie, actually.
Man.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you fucked up, Dimetric Houston.
Yeah. What horrible thing happened in May of 2017 that Dimetric Houston fucked up?
No, the Unite the Right was in July, I think. So, yeah.
Wow. In this one, he has the same outro, but he also thinks Alejandro Bustello. So.
I don't know, but like the Bustello, like the coffee. I don't know who Alejandro Bustello is.
It's a guy who helped him correct, change something on the fac.
Yeah. for ghouls and gals.
That was for Labyrinth X.
Okay.
What the fuck is ghouls and gals?
It's an Xbox 360 arcade game. It is a role playing game for the Xbox 360. Based on that name, you know exactly what the cover art looks like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No thanks.
Yeah. It's anime ladies with bulging cleavage covered in blood. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Reasonable tits.
Price.
Rock bottom prices.
Ninjas and priestess. Also, they really like finding these games and being the only fact for them.
Yeah.
So
they go back really quite a ways too.
Well,
we probably talked about this guy with the Sword Quest and or Earthworld and Fireworld.
Oh, we absolutely did. Absolutely did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. It's very funny that this person is making walkthroughs for the horniest games alive, and at the end thanking God for the strength, life, and intellect to do this FAQ.
He really just starts thanking God for the virility, so he didn't come until the end of Ninjas and Princesses. It's also all the 360 era, like previous to this, zero horned. You get to the 360 era, and this person discovered horny anime games.
Oh yeah, they really got into a barrel with it. Yeah,
yeah.
Storied fact writing career though. Going back, earliest one that I see is 1999. They're going up through 2018 or so. So
yeah, they're 20 years of fact writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is why we don't have clean water in Flint. God could have fixed that, but he keeps helping this dude make the worst facts. I think they might be fine facts.
They're succinct, which is good.
Yeah. I like that they're succinct. I like somebody's got to write a fact of these weird horny 360 games.
Somebody's got to get
Venus
through
Explorer.
You gotta make sure that it's not all YouTube shit that can be taken down immediately. Right.
Yes.
Just I don't like your subject matter, but I like your commitment to the FAQ as an art form.
Yes.
Sir Timid. The ghastly ramifications of your arrangement aside. Yeah.
But it's who's to say what's worth?
Yeah. But, I'm not here to judge.
Yeah. That's for God to do.
In between being thanked. Yeah.
But I think if prayer were real, there should be like a bar for it.
Do you think that like if you pray for something that's too penny ante that you should get punished?
The opposite should happen.
What do you mean?
The opposite of what you prayed for.
Okay, I thought you said the opposite of what I said. So if you pray for something too big, like if you make too big of an ask,
then you get punished. Well, I also that feels like my understanding of religion in some ways.
A little bit
as well. Like you're not supposed to ask for billions of dollars and stuff. You're supposed to ask for sick relatives to get better.
Yeah.
It's that's the main thing. Just I pray for success in crossing the street, things like that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. You're kind of getting at like one of the minor premises in the I believe 2000 film Bruce Almighty.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Love to get a BAM ref.
Where Jim Carrey as Bruce, no, it's 2003. Sorry, Jim Carrey as Bruce gets the powers of God. Because he says some kind of it's like, oh no, just why would God let this happen to me?
Santa Claus kind of thing.
Yeah,
like it's actually he took it from Nietzsche.
Yeah, he ran God down in his dune buggy by accident.
Yep.
Thought he was just one of those street performers dressed up like a robot.
That's how Matthew Broderick got all his powers.
Jesus. At the expense of his hairline. He gets the powers of God, and the interface for getting the prayers and figuring out how to answer them is an email inbox.
Okay. That's
and like he's got it's just constantly dinging, and he has to it's basically he sets up filters.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'd have to.
Yeah, you would have. I mean, obviously, if you're getting prayers from like literally everywhere in the world, and also, I don't think it explains if he is the Christian God or if he is like the
if he's
one
just getting all the prayers.
if he's like the one what is it, like demiurge or whatever, that is getting that is getting it from all the religions via proxy. Like, like the Buddhists, when they make their requests or whatever. I don't know if they do that. But that gets up to me too, right? That doesn't go into it.
Fascinating ethical concern. Like trying to think of, and this is something, weirdly enough, this has tons of crossover with like Superman stories.
Yes,
there's a bunch of Superman stories that deal with the same kind of thing. Like, what do you do with all of that power?
Right.
It makes me want to write a comic where Superman has to help with a fac instead as well. Make it a little bit more palatable,
And then just the last page is just completely black with white text. While Superman was doing this, 500 people died.
Just like more than that. I don't know that I got more Shadow Blaster stuff. One thing I want to do, we shout this website out from time to time, but I love it, so I want to shout it out again. After I did the first level of this, I went and searched for it and found the article on Hardcore Gaming 101. Which is a great website. And all I want are little write-ups of games. That's what makes Bitmap books so good. And they are like absolutely the source for this kind of like absolute Genesis scum kind of game, like obscure, weird, just Genescum.
Yeah. What's the opposite of it's the sediment. It's the opposite of the cream. Yes. It's the sediment.
Yes. The cream of the sediment.
Yeah. Cool. Man, I love their style. I love the way that they just kind of just like write it straight,
Me too. Just white text on black with pictures every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like there's never been a pivot to a cooler looking, like their homepage got a little bit more razzle dazzle with time, but it's still not bad.
Yeah. I need to check and see like what books. I usually check every like 6 months to see like what new books come out from them.
They got a rad one. Their most recent one is Retro Horror.
Oh shit! Nice.
Which is real cool. Available on paperback for $20. Retro horror is a really interesting subject because it was hard to do horror games in retro context.
I want to see what they decided to cover.
Yeah. There's really no reason for me not to own every single thing they've ever done.
Oh yeah.
Like my burgeoning collection of game reference books is sincerely one of my most prized possessions.
I love it. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I absolutely adore it.
Well, and not Bitmap. Hardcore Gaming 101 also does like smaller ones. So they've got those big temple ones. But like I've got one of theirs that's just like literally just like NES oddities.
I've got Castlevania, Castlevania one. Yeah.
No, I used the Castlevania one as a source in preparing for the Castlevania live show. Actually, I got that there and did reading about it. Reading about the games there.
Viva.
It's good. Viva. I have a story about one of these. I'm not going to use the actual author or whatever because I met the person and he seemed perfectly nice.
Okay.
But when I went and walked around, there was a retro game expo sale thing in Columbus a couple months back.
Or something like the Trog.
Korgs. Yeah. So went there. It's a good show. I don't like the venue very much. It's just kind of dark and it's not a pleasant place to be. Just dingy, whatever. But the whole back row was like creators, like people who had done like books and stuff. And that's also where they had like the Midway people coming in and signing stuff, which is, similar thing at Midwest Gaming Classic or whatever.
You mean like the Mortal Kombat? And stuff.
Yeah. But there was a guy who was selling this book that was about like, the weirdest games ever. Right.
Okay.
And I was like, this is probably going to be worthwhile. Right. Cause I just, that's a topic that I'm interested in. Right. And he was, just like, trying to impress me. And he said, he held this up and is like, here's something, that just like nobody knows about. Nobody's ever, just this real, like got the real shit in here. Right. And he opened it up and there was like a little third of a page about the Shadow Man 2 graveyard advertising stuff.
Okay.
And And I was like, if that's the best you got, man, I'd go with God.
Yeah.
But
He was
I
trying
don't
to
know.
stunt on, yeah.
I
He didn't know
don't-
who he'd picked a fight with. You destroyed him.
Oh, no, right. Oh, and I said, oh yeah, that's really fun. I remember reading about that in a magazine. And then I moved
After that,
on.
did he go, what?
No, it was just kind of
Oh.
like, yeah, just like, oh man, there's video games certainly are weird, aren't they?
Yeah.
But he didn't know that he fucking tried to step to the champ.
Yeah, he really did come at the king, and he missed.
Yep.
You know, when,
Yeah,
like
and so-
you should have got on the PA and humiliated him within an inch of his life. You had a moral responsibility to make sure he never tried that stunt again. Imagine if he had done that on Jeremy Parrish. He would have crumbled into dust.
Oh, okay.
You know?
just all of his molecular bonds would have released at once. He would have exploded.
Yeah.
There
It
would
would
have
have
been
been
a
like the end of
crater.
the Watchmen. Just Jeremy Parrish would have pointed at him and he would have exploded into a smear in the Arctic.
So, I was like, yeah, it looks like a cool book. Thank you. I don't have cash on me. I had cash. And I proceeded.
Yeah. It's funny how at those things, like how much I hate being sold to at them. Like we went to me and Liv we had a weekend where there was the Geekcraft Expo, which we'd been to before.
Mhm.
It's what it sounds like. It's a cheaper version of just the nerdy craft
Like
stuff,
an
from
artist
PRG.
alley kind of thing. Yeah.
Fun. But at the same time, they also had this. I can't remember the organization that does it, but it was like the Books and Paper Festival or something like that in the DoubleTree, and it was all booksellers.
Okay.
And we like books, so we're like, we gotta go to this.
Yeah.
We really wanted to walk around it.
Yeah.
One, everything was priced to stay. It was all for it's very hard in these situations to explain that you're not a collector.
Right.
You're a low-key collector. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Ran into this with people selling VHSs, right? People are like listing off facts, and you're just kind of like, oh, this is just a movie I hadn't heard of, and I think it might be fun to see.
Yes, I'm sure
that's
that
not what
it's
they're
worth
interested
what you're
in.
saying.
Yeah.
It is as rare and worth what you're talking about, but I'm ignorant about this and choose to remain ignorant about it. I'm not looking to spend that kind of money because it doesn't have that kind of value to me.
Yes.
So it was with books, and both those situations remind me of PRGE, where the ideal, I understand that there are probably people who think this is everything that's wrong, with our generation or what have you. But my ideal situation in that is just to browse and not be talked to unless I have a question.
Yeah.
Somebody hawking a ware at me immediately is a huge turnoff.
Yes.
And when we're at these conventions, we do it too. Like somebody walks up to the table and grabs a button, we tell them what the button's about.
Yeah.
You kind of have to, but it's also from a consumer perspective. I just want to look. Don't talk to me. It's a one-way street.
Yeah.
It's somebody selling me on a thing just makes me feel horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I just I feel trapped with them.
When's the last time you got sold on something?
I don't know, man. It's probably very recently, but it happens so much, right? Like, I don't know. Every time I go to Sam's Club, which is probably about once a month, there's always somebody set up at a table who is trying to, sell something, a cell phone plan or internet package or some kind of vitamins or whatever. They let people set up and sell. Right. And you make the mistake of making eye contact because, I don't know, we're humans and we exist in the same space.
Well, and you and I are also customer service oriented.
Yes.
By trade for a lot of our lives. And we do those conventions. So if I'm out, I go into helpful robot mode.
Yes.
Even against my will.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be, but I will make eye contact and be like, how can I be of service to just the world? Yeah.
So and just again, do you have the internet? No, I just woke up.
No. One of a real all-purpose way to get around anything that has a plan is to say you're visiting from out of state.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I do that. But if it's somebody who's selling something they directly made, the worst for me is, and this comes up in PRGEs and stuff all the time, are somebody who is a fantasy author who is self-published the Man Dwarf Chronicles Volume 9.
Yeah.
You know, and is just like, do you want to hear my pitch about this? And then if they ever, the answer to that is no, but it feels rude to say it. So sometimes you hear the pitch, and the pitch, there's almost nothing that can differentiate like a self-published fantasy book and make it seem like there's no elevator pitch for it that I've ever heard that makes it sound, distinguishable from every other one.
Which is like, you kind of feel for the person, like, they got into they know they got into the issue. They know it's hard. I wouldn't be able to form an effective pitch around it. Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's an impossible-ish task. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And, which makes it really hard to hear somebody try, because there's a certain amount of, and it sounds patronizing, and I don't mean it in the patronizing way, but there's a certain kind of tragedy to it. It's like, man, you got to keep doing it, because you got the hustle, right? You're not going to sell if you don't, if you don't put yourself out there. But also, shit, man, it's just, there's a kind of a indignity to it.
Yeah, I'm sitting on like 300 unsold copies of Atomic. Like, I understand that it is hard to get people to, and I have a platform. Like, it is hard to sell books.
Yes,
and pitch them to people. I get it, but at the same time, like, this isn't the way.
No,
I don't know what the way is, but that's not the way.
Yeah.
No. So
don't know.
Ultimately, it's somebody should fix it. This is good. I pray that somebody accepts my pitch for the Man Dwarf Chronicles Volume 9. Thank you, Bryn.
Thank you, Bryn.
Yeah, you were great.
Agreed. If you would like to be like Bryn, you can go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and back us. At the $25 level, you can pick a game for us to cover. The process for doing that, like when you put it in your confirmation email around there, and also there is a post you can search for that'll tell you how to do this. There's like a form where you can go in and submit. It's like a Google form, kind of deal. That's the extra step that you have to take. So just keep that in mind. But if all that feels like too much to you, you can also back at $5 and get 2 bonus episodes of the show per month.
2. A lot of places do 1 bonus episode a month.
Yeah,
but we do double that.
We do, and more. We got like a bonus thing coming out every week.
Yeah, we put out stuff all the time.
Yeah.
We really appreciate everyone who's done that. We really appreciate Bryn. We appreciate everyone who listened. Cole, what is the improvised sign off you have until we get those Google Forms going?
Yeah. My improvised sign off is, this has been Abject Suffering, where Hardcore Gaming 101 has made me aware of a really cool game that's called The Scarab of Ra.